Hey, moment makers, welcome to A Golden Moment. I'm your host, Rebecca Montgomery, and this is a show for women who are done waiting and ready to go for it. Every episode, I sit down with someone who has been in the arena, who hit the wall, found the gold, and came back with something worth sharing. Today's conversation is one I've genuinely been looking forward to. And I think you're going to walk away with something you can actually use. So are you ready? Let's go for it. Marie Holliday takes pride in being known as Doc Holliday, even though she is neither a gambler nor a gunslinger. But she does share the similarity with Doc Holliday of Old West notoriety of being a dentist. And if there ever was someone who channeled the spirit of Old West gutsiness, it is Marie Doc Holliday. Besides running a successful dental practice in Fort Worth for 23 years, she has also owned two businesses in Sundance Square, Marie Antoinette Perfumery and her Flower to Go floral shop. And as if that isn't enough, she's also a wife, a mother of two sons, and a dedicated community service volunteer. Welcome, Doc Holliday. We are so glad you're here with us today.
Hello, friend.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We're very excited you're
Me
here.
too. I'm excited.
Tell us about the young Doc Holliday. Tell us about Marie.
Well, I'm Marie Antoinette Holliday, so I feel like I was born or given names that were famous, and they also directed my path. When I say that, I grew up as a daughter of a Baptist minister, and whose church, my father's church, was downtown Fort Worth, and my mother was a school teacher, retired as a middle school counselor. So I had a faith-based upbringing. And in the Black community, the church has been super important in our quote-unquote liberation and in the guidance in helping us to overcome a number of barriers that we have faced. So I went to school here in Fort Worth ISD, went to James E. Gwynn Middle School, East Van Zandt, which was the elementary school, and graduated subsequently from O.D. Wyatt. So I decided to leave and go away to school to Boston University.
Where did that come from? What made you want to go to Boston?
My father was a civic leader, and being a daughter of a successful and community leader, and my mother being a school teacher mostly at the time, I went to school all the time. So I was always my father's daughter. Oh, you're Reverend Mrs. Holliday's daughter. You're Reverend and Mrs. Holliday's daughter. And I was always involved in something, especially by being in the church. Then you have different things. You were very active, either sang in the choir. I was an usher. You do a number of things, especially when you're the daughter of the minister and the first lady. And I grew up during a period of segregation. When I went to the first integrated school that I attended was Poly High School. I grew up on the South Side, and when I was ready to apply to college...
Well, let's back up,
okay,
if you don't mind. I
don't.
totally interrupted you. Tell us about that experience when you first went to that integrated high school. What was that like?
It was the 10th grade for me. I always had an interest in music, and I played the piano. The flute was my main instrument. So when I went to Poly, I was in the marching band, and it afforded me a number of different opportunities. So my experience in going to an integrated high school for the first time was not too bad. And I think that when you are that young, especially at that period of time, you don't really know when you are really experiencing racial differences or differences because of the color of your skin outside of what you've seen on TV, which was minimal back at that time. You know, we're talking in the late 60s. So I took a lot of honors classes because I've always done very well academically. I think there were only 7 black students in my class, in the whole class. I think we probably had 100 and something, which is small compared to now.
Sure.
But the experience kind of told on itself later on when I had class reunions, and after having been in Boston and experienced racial differences from a different perspective, then I realized that I did have some very true, good friends who were Caucasian.
Wonderful.
You know, it was definitely different because during segregation, you couldn't go to the same restrooms. We had white fountains and black colored. It was called colored
Here in Fort
fountains.
Worth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In your lifetime.
Yep. I recall whenever we would go downtown, everybody got dressed before. You know, we wearing dresses. I never wore pants until I went to
It's different
to
now,
Boston.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. We can't get out of those pants.
Dressed up and went to town.
I remember one incident that was racial, and my sister Alice and I were walking with my mother. We loved to go down there to get chocolate. It's probably why I had so many cavities, in addition to everything else. That this little girl that was in a stroller said, "Oh, there's a nigga." That was, you know, like we were taken back.
Right.
And so we were still probably about 12 or 13. And as I mentioned, my father's church was here at Greater St. James, which is at 3rd and Harding. So I was downtown all the time.
Talking about that shift and that music background you have that took you to Boston. For a lot of people in high school looking at going someplace like that, when you haven't lived in different places, you were born and raised here, that takes courage. Where did that come from?
The reason I actually went to Boston is because I wanted to go to the education mecca. And at the time, we've only had integration in Texas since I was in the 10th grade. I graduate in the top of my class from O.D. Wyatt, and most of my classmates were applying to schools they wanted to go to because of what was happening, especially on the East Coast and maybe in California, but definitely on the East Coast. The Ivy League schools and others were looking for black students. So I had some upper class persons that were friends of mine through other social organizations or church or civic events that had gone to Wellesley, Barnard, to Yale, to other schools. And so I wanted to go, and they were so well received.
That's awesome.
But when I applied to UT in Austin, they didn't want black students. You didn't feel, nor TCU or any of the others, you didn't feel like they wanted you to be a part of their communities. And then I wanted to get away because I wanted to be who I am.
What made you want to go into dentistry?
When I first went to college, I was thinking I was going to be a lawyer because the only thing, I wanted to be my own boss.
Okay.
That's where the entrepreneurship comes from. I wanted to be my own boss.
And where did that come from?
Having seen some women get divorced and their lives were totally changed. And people didn't get many divorces back at that time.
Okay.
But it was something about it.
It struck you and stayed with you.
Yeah, it did. It did. Okay. So I only knew about lawyers and doctors and teachers, and they weren't their own boss, and that's all I knew. So I took my first class and I said, well, no, law is not my thing. I need to know one plus
that one off.
one equals two every time you say it. You cannot create add some more words and end
letters.
up and read between the lines and assumptions. So anyway, then I said, well, I had done biology, sciences were big, and so I said, well, I'll go into medicine. And I went to a summer science program at Meharry Medical College, which was in Nashville. And it was especially for minority students who were interested in medicine. And while I was attending the program, they had some physicians come to talk about medicine. And that was at the time when medicine was becoming specialized. And there were a couple of people that were interested in dentistry. And I had never thought about that at all. And so once I went back to Boston for the next semester, I went and visited several dentists that were Black. Of course, there weren't that many, but I was able to.
Were there any females?
No, not that were in the practice of dentistry there. But then I found out that in Europe, there were a lot of females that were dentists. So I looked into it and said, oh, yeah, this is good. I can have, because I always wanted to have a family. I wanted to get married. And I said I could do that. I could have different hours. I wouldn't have to be on call. Because
You'd be off on Thursdays?
Yeah, I could. Be off on Thursdays and set my own hours.
That's right. Be your own boss.
Yes, be my own boss. So that's how I ended up deciding on dentistry.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay. So, tell me about the name. You are Doc Holliday. How did that happen? And does it ever get you in trouble?
I learned while I was in Boston that Doc Holliday was a dentist. So when I came back to Fort Worth, because I always wanted to come back to Fort Worth. I was never going to stay where I was. And then after I found out that Doc Holliday had been here in Fort Worth and I'd been in Dallas, I wanted to be the Doc Holliday of Sundance Square.
Love it.
So that's become my thing. I always said in life, use what you have to get what you want.
There you
Okay, and so for marketing purposes, I would be Doc Holliday, and that would be memorable. We've come a long ways in marketing for health professionals. When I first started in practice, you couldn't market.
Wow.
You could, in the yellow pages, but you could only have the font of your name a certain size. You couldn't have an ad. You could only put your name outside, maybe the building where you were. So that was the other reason why, for me, in quote unquote marketing, I needed to have a way to be more discreet about it. And I ended up being the second female to be in private practice in Fort Worth.
So Doc Holliday of Sundance Square.
Yes.
And you've had other businesses in Sundance Square.
Yes.
Would you name those for us too, if you don't mind?
My first business in Sundance Square was Perfumery Marie Antoinette, which is my name, and it's French.
Beautiful, beautiful store.
That kind of came out because I always wanted to have my name in lights.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect. And then your other business.
Marie Antoinette's Flowers to Go.
Where does that drive come from?
I love being a dentist. I love taking care of people. I always wanted to, as a health professional, to not make it a business that was all about the money. The success for me is being able to care for people and them to be happy with their results. And because I am in the dentistry profession, then there's still a lot of anxiety.
Yes, there is. I can second
amongst
that.
people. So, I wanted to be caring, but I wanted to have a business where I could make money, where that's what it was all about, was making money. And I wanted to do something in retail. So that's how I started out with Perfumery, Marie Antoinette.
So but you're also, what you're doing, you're caring for your community.
I always say that dentistry is my ministry. One of my patients told me that, and I actually used that to come up with, when I was thinking about having a name for my practice, to be Let It Shine. So because I want to have that, the song goes, let it shine, this little light of mine.
Yes, that's beautiful. And also at the same time, your floral shop.
Yes.
Again, people receive flowers that makes them smile.
Right.
Makes them
Yes.
feel good.
Yeah. Yes, all the time.
Now I'm going to step back for a second and ask you about something a little more personal.
Okay.
What's the moment or moments that changed everything for you? When fear showed up and you stepped through it anyway and you found your boy.
I've been thinking about that. The thing that changed my whole life was when I decided I needed to get a divorce. The reason being is at the time I had 2 children. I have 2 boys. And my youngest son has Down syndrome. He's high functioning. And my ex-husband is a physician, and we worked together. So after he finished his residency at Baylor, he came over and he had a room in my 3 treatment room office. And so we had our offices together, and my ex, he was I'd say the breadwinner, and I practiced dentistry the way I wanted to. I was all about prevention and bringing that into the community, which was predominantly Black, and being able to educate people in general. Anybody that came to see me, I was all about saving teeth and making people happy. I realized that it was going to be necessary, that we were not going to be able to stay together for so many reasons that I had tried for a while, but then I never really thought I was going to get divorced, of course. But things changed dramatically, and he didn't want to get divorced because he wanted to keep on doing what he was doing. But at the same time, I knew that I was no good to my children, my life, and my patients, and I needed to emotionally and mentally be separated from him. That was big because I had to separate my business.
How'd you do this? Who did you lean on? Who was there for you, supporting you?
I had a lot of prayer. That's where my support was, because by that time, my father had passed. I have some friends. I have a girlfriend from college that we talked a lot about what was going on. I did a lot on my own. And then I had a psychiatrist, because one of the things I learned from another friend of mine when I was in college was that if you have issues, then you should seek help. And that there was, especially at that time, a stigma associated with if you sought help. So when I made that decision also, then that's how I ended up moving my office downtown, because like I said, I wanted to always be Doc Holliday of Sundance Square, and this was an opportunity. It didn't go like that. I mean, I make it sound like it was really easy, but it was emotionally a lot. I said to myself at that time, I said, there are women who get divorced who are not professionals, who have...
They're not prepared.
They're not prepared, and they get divorced. I said, well, I need to be the one, because I have a profession, I have a business, and even though I had a second business too at that time, that was another factor in it, that I needed to do what was going to be best for Marie and my children. So that was it.
What would you say to a young woman going through that today, what would you say to her, having all those same fears that you just talked about and concerns? What would you say she should do today?
I would say you have to evaluate everything. Look at the pros and cons. Look at how are you going to be. I was about to be 40 also. And I had said to myself, I cannot see myself another 10, 20 years living and enduring this.
Right.
That is emotionally battering me.
And that wears you down.
It wears you down.
And I think your
Yes.
children will start to pick up on that too.
Yes. I think that a woman has to realize that we are the ones that are the nurturers. We're the ones that care. I don't care how much they try. It's on us. We are who the Lord allowed to carry that child and to bring them into the world.
Correct.
You have to look at it like an equation. If you got this equation and you want the end result to be happiness and joy and success in whatever way you define it, if there's a variable in the equation that once you eliminate it, it's going to equal what you want, then that's what you have to do.
That's great.
And I don't know how, for every single person, it is different.
Yes.
Because in a household is you and that other person. Nobody knows what you are going through. People are like, oh, you getting a divorce? Why are you doing that? Y'all are always
no
together.
idea what's going
You're
on.
doing it. They have no idea.
And I think that's in general, in this world even today. We all are doing the best we can, especially when we get out in public. But all of us have lives that other people cannot see. And you never know. And I think we should all give grace because we don't know what other's going through.
That's right. That's
at
right.
any given moment.
And I talk to my team, which is mostly female, I talk to them about that because in the olden days, not that long ago, you were told when you go to work, you leave everything at the door. That is not
It's not
possible.
how it works. Our bodies do not work that way.
Right. And our minds don't work that way.
True.
The mind is a battlefield. Okay?
True.
Our emotions are connected to that. So if you are, I tell my team that it's okay to let us know if there are things that are bothering you. You don't have to go into depth, but if today you come in and something has happened, or somebody in your family might have died, one of your children, something happened to them, that even from the perspective of, I got to go back to the school to talk to them about my child. There are a lot of different scenarios. It doesn't always have to do with the person who is your spouse or significant other. It can just be stuff that's happening. And so just let your associates or the people that you're working with, it's not a very good day today. Just want to let you know this is...
It's a challenging day for me.
Yeah,
I'm
challenging.
here and I'm going to get my job done, but I'm having it has nothing to do with anybody here.
Because if you don't, the other people are going to feel like it has something to do with them because of how you are acting.
When we don't understand something, we answer it in our head, and we're usually wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
What do you think your father would say if he was here and saw you today, and what you're doing and what you've accomplished?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know he'd be very proud. I know he would be. I've often thought about writing a book. That's something that I plan to do.
Okay, we're going to start working on this.
And following in my daddy's footsteps. My father was, I think I would say, the more caring and nurturing. He was quiet because my mother was, we call that the Holliday trait. Like
she was the teacher.
Yes, and my mother was the one who, back at that day, was the one who whipped the kids in school.
Oh, my.
Because they used to whip children in school. Yeah,
I have 3 older brothers.
Okay, they get the paddle.
And
okay.
They got the paddle.
Yes, right. So that would have been my mother. So I think my father taught me, because he was a full-time minister, he was taking us everywhere. We went to church probably 3 or 4 times a week and twice on Sundays, sometimes maybe 3 times on Sundays. But he'd ride us around and take us to wherever we needed to go. And he would talk to us all the time. My motto that I got from him is to make every stumbling block a stepping stone.
Okay, would you repeat that?
My motto, which he told me, was make every stumbling block a stepping stone.
That is perfect.
And I added to success.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful motto.
Yes.
Make every stumbling block a stepping stone to success. I'm going to borrow that.
Sure. I would like for you
And
to,
we're
and
gonna-
I'd like for anyone listening to.
Thank you for sharing. Now we're going to go to a couple of lighthearted topics.
Yes.
And I want you to tell me your thoughts. You're so active in the community, which I love because we're in a lot of groups together, and it's so fun to always run into you. I have a photo, everyone, that I printed out. Tell us about this photo. What is Doc Holliday doing here?
I am throwing out the first pitch at a Ranger game.
Woo, tell us about, pardon me, tell us about the Ranger games.
I love baseball. I love baseball because it's a family sport where you can go, the kids can run around, or you're not concerned about them squirming around in the seats, and they have things to do. So I started watching baseball in high school, and then I started watching it on TV. And I knew a great man, Norm Lyons, who was with the Texas Rangers. I had known him before he was with them. And then I met a young man that came after him, Breon Dennis, and he knew I loved baseball. Everybody knew I loved baseball. They were doing an event. I got a call from him, and he said, "Would you like to throw out the first pitch?"
Oh my gosh.
And you know that I had to be jumping up and down.
Yes.
What? Okay, now I am not athletic.
Okay. How did you prepare?
You know,
I love it.
that's why you don't know what it takes for people to get to where they are. You don't know
True.
how they get to the end product. So I started going out throwing the ball. We go and practice. I'm friends with Ron Washington, our former manager.
Yes, yes.
He had left the Rangers at that time, so I had texted him and told him that I was going to throw out the first pitch. His response was, "Don't bounce the ball."
Oh.
No pointers on getting ready. Just don't bounce the ball.
Don't bounce the ball.
So here I am. I've been practicing and practicing, and I was like, oh, man, this is not easy. So then when I get to go, I had gotten about 70 of my friends. They had gotten tickets to come to the game. I was so excited.
Of course.
And I got ready to throw it out, and I didn't bounce the ball, and it made it to the catcher. I can't think who it was. It was the most memorable moment.
That is huge.
My life.
It made it to the catcher.
Yes.
You did not bounce,
Bounce
the ball.
I know it. I know.
Okay,
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you another photo I have.
Oh.
All right, this is on my phone, everyone. Doc, as I said, is my dentist. And I was going to see her during COVID. And I was walking there. It was early one morning. It was cold. There was no one on the streets in downtown Fort Worth. So, Doc, I'm going to show you this picture I have on my phone. Tell me, who is this? What were we doing?
Oh, that's us with Pat Green.
Yes.
And we were masked up.
We were masked
and
up.
we were walking down the street. And we just happened to end up running into each other going to my office.
Yes.
And Rebecca says, well, I think that's Pat Green. I said, it is? I said, oh, okay. So we went and asked him if we could get a picture, and he was so kind.
And he was totally all for it. We're like, can we get a photo with our mask off? And he just jerked it down. He did not bat an eye.
He did not.
We had so much fun
We
that morning.
did. We did.
And whenever I see him in Austin, I talk to him and I show him the photo of you and he just laughs. And he says, see, I'm cool. He goes, tell my son that I'm still cool somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know this is the year of the fire horse.
Oh, okay.
It is the
okay.
year of the fire
Okay.
horse. And so we ladies have been envisioning ourselves on our fire horse. They go forward. We got this.
okay.
So just envision you on your fire horse. You're having a great day. You're knocking it out.
Okay.
Just accomplishing everything, succeeding. Tell us what your fire horse looks like.
Oh, well, black, because I love horse racing too.
Oh.
And my cars have always had names of horses. My car now is Pharaoh.
Oh.
And so I know he was a king, but he also was a Triple Crown winner.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, that beautiful black,
Yes. You're on the
stallion.
beach going on a stallion.
Yes, yeah. But, that's what I would be.
What's your horse's name? What's your fire horse's name?
My fire horse would probably be Maya, after Maya Angelou.
Love it. Wonderful name.
Yes.
Maya. So we're going to envision Doc Holliday on Maya.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this, and you tell us, what would you tell a woman as far as needing to take care of herself, personally, professionally, and her family, especially in this day and time, which is really challenging for a lot of people?
I think that women have to realize that we have to have some time for ourselves, some girl time and some time individually. I know that a lot of women are now working at home. I think that brings some other stress that one does not really recognize. Because even if you have your office in the house, you look around and there's stuff to do or stuff that needs to be done. And if you don't get away and just spend 2 or 3 days, you don't have to always look at a vacation, because sometimes a vacation becomes a trip, which I realized when I went on a trip, it was work because
To prepare.
yes, to prepare, and then if you're traveling by yourself or with someone, you got to do this and do that, and we want to go here. It's like, well, I could have stayed at home and rested more. So I think that mentally we have to look back at our lives, and sometimes we end up being in a cycle and just doing things all the time, just like me. I go to a lot of meetings because I'm on a number of boards. Sometimes if there's a lot, I just say, well, I think I'm not going to this today. And you have to allow yourself to listen to your feelings and how you are functioning. And if you want to take a nap,
Right.
if you want to take a walk and learn to enjoy yourself, because life is so precious. Tomorrow is not promised, and each and every one of us are one diagnosis away from an illness that it may not be you, or it could be someone in your family, and there's just so many things that are going on. So I think that we have to look at self-care as a very high priority in our lives. And a lot of times women end up, because we are the nurturers, we are the planners, we are this and that,
Yes.
that we end up taking more care of everyone else than ourselves. But there's another thing my father told me: if you don't have your health, then you cannot do anything.
Right. You have to
So
take care of yourself.
You
to take
have
care of
to
your family.
take care of yourself.
That is so true. And I will admit, most of us are not great at it, but we have to include more of that in our lives in order to be successful.
Yes, because we end up doing so much, even on the weekends or whatever one's schedule might be. And we need to also eat healthy.
Thank you, because everything you've said ties right into the ministry. And we are so blessed and gifted to have you here. I'm so appreciative of our friendship, our girl friendship.
Yes, I am
And
too.
look forward to many more days and
Yes,
conversations.
yes.
So thank you for
Yes.
being here with us today.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for having
Sharing.
me. I'm so happy to be able to share.
Maya's joining our herd.
Yes.
We all have a herd. Maya and Doc Holliday have just joined our herd.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate also the statement you made earlier about every stumbling block is a stepping stone to success.
Let every stumbling block be a stepping stone to success.
Awesome. Thank you. And we're going to have you back one day.
Okay? Sounds good.
Moment makers, thank you for spending part of your day with us. I hope today's conversation gave you something. A nudge, a reframe, a strategy, that golden nugget that you needed. Or just the reminder that you are not alone in this. If this episode meant something, share it. Leave a review. Hit that button to subscribe below so the next one finds you. And if there's a woman in your life who needs a little nudge today, or needs to name her horse, send this to her. New episodes drop every other Tuesday. You are enough. The world needs you fully in it. Now go for it. I'm Rebecca Montgomery. This has been A Golden Moment. See you next time, Moment Makers.